Hi, everybody. Hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rivali. Welcome, and Happy New Year. So, we're back to Rivali with Kanayo. This is 2022, and we are back with a bang. I hope you all had a good Christmas holiday and you are all, well rested. I had a lovely break after all the initial, bottlenecks I had along the way. And thank you for everybody that reached out to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So in 2022, we are starting with a new series, and we want to look at success. And I want to put out a disclaimer here. When I say success, I use the word loosely because I don't always agree with the way society portrays success. So I'm just using the word success loosely. We want to look at success, and we want to look at two ingredients of success. First of all, discipline versus skill. So we want to see, is it that you can succeed in your craft with just discipline, or is it that if you had just skill without discipline, that would be enough to succeed in your craft? Or is it a situation where you need a bit of both? And if you need a bit of both, do you actually need to place a premium on one of them to succeed? Those are the sort of things we're going to be looking at. And our guest today he doesn't need any introduction. He's not a stranger at all he's a household name in Nigeria and beyond the shores of Nigeria. And he's no other than Chief Dele Momodu. And I'm going to bring him up in a short while, because we have a lot to go through and I want us to jump right into it. But let me just say that he is, first of all, a journalist par excellence. He's the chairman of the Ovation Group, and also the presidential candidate of the National Conscience Party in the 2011 election. And I am going to be bringing him up now. And I know that we are in for a good ride. Okay, I hope I'm not going. Oh, great. Hey, good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Wow.
Well, I'm happy to join you finally. I've been looking forward to this.
Thank you, sir. I'm really grateful. I don't take it for granted. I know that you are an incredibly busy man, especially now. So I don't take it for granted that I asked you just a few days ago and you obliged me. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Thank you,
We're
ma.
going to
And
jump into
yes,
it because we have a lot to go through today. I'll start by saying that you've been described in some quarters as one of Nigeria's most network person, and your network spans across different sectors of the society and even beyond Nigeria, because you've been known to be friends or just friendly with a lot of world leaders, and even have contact in royal families. Now, I know that you are not a silver spoon baby. I know you come from a very humble background. So my first question to you is, how did you go from that humble background to who you are now, especially building a world-class brand like Ovation? How did you do that?
well, let me thank you for bringing me on your program. I also don't take it for granted. Every opportunity for me to share knowledge, I make sure I take it. Because primarily, my dream was to be a teacher, marry a teacher, and live happily thereafter. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a teaching appointment, and that is how destiny led me to journalism. I never planned to be a journalist. I was born in the ancient town of Ile-Ife. Ile-Ife, as you know, is a cultural city.
Yes.
And I was born to, well, let me use the popular cliche. I was born into a very humble family.
Okay.
But being born into a humble family was not just the end of it. I lost my father at the age of 13, and I was left with a poor, unlettered mother who couldn't speak one word of English. Of course, she was a petty trader. She struggled to send us to school. And immediately my father died. If we thought we were poor, we became poorer.
Wow.
So we had to be chased out of our home in Ile-Ife, and we became squatters with our cousins in Modakeke nearby. To be quite honest with you, I believe, and just like Chief Obafemi Awolowo, I believe that the key that can unlock the future of anyone is education.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what you read, as you will discover in my case. Despite the fact that my mom was not educated, she knew the value of education, and she struggled to send us to school. So I finished my first WAEC exam in 1976. Of course, I didn't do well. I had a poor grade 3. And my mom encouraged me to go back to do it a second time. That second time, we had problems because that was the year when there was mass leakage of exam papers.
Okay.
So some of the results were withheld. Then my mom told me, go back again. And that's where I learned my tenacity from.
Yes.
And I did it a third time, and I got all my necessary papers.
Yeah.
That was also the first year of JAM. So we were pioneer JAM bites. Yes, please. I had worked, I would say part of my foundation was the fact that I had worked variously as an errand boy in the bookstore, CSS bookshop in Ile-Ife.
Okay.
I worked as a village teacher. I worked as a library attendant. That's in between that 1976 and 1978. So I was kept busy because my mom could not afford too many things. So I just had to try this and that. Thereafter, my last job was actually at the University of Ife Library, where I was a library attendant. That was where I started coming in contact with the Wole Soyinkas, the Collier Motoshaws, the Professor Wande Abimbolas, the Akinwumi Sholas, all the big scholars in literature and languages. And I think this was what influenced me into reading Yoruba for my first degree.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't expect someone like me to read Yoruba. But I realized that more people were graduating from English language. Every time we were doing graduation, you will find 200, 300 people, in English. In Yoruba, you find 2 or 4 people, maximum. So I had a brainwave that why is our own indigenous language that difficult, for people to study? I realized that it was not just about the difficulty, it was the fact that it was not voguish. People loved to study things like medicine, like law.
Yes.
But I love to do things differently. I like to trek on a road less traveled. So I will tell you that that's part of my secret. When people say, oh, something is impossible, or everybody is running away from something, there you will find Dele Momodu, So to cut a long story short, I got a first degree in Yoruba in 1982. And of course, because I studied Yoruba, initially I was sent to Bauchi for my national service, but they bounced me back because they didn't need a Yoruba graduate. So I ended up teaching A-level Yoruba at the Oyo State College of Arts and Science, also in Ile-Ife. You can imagine where I was born, that was where I started. My life is very, very complicated and strange, So thereafter, I was very fortunate. I got a job immediately as private secretary to the then deputy governor of Ondo State, Chief Akamo Boriowo. And that was my baptism of fire because Ondo State was actually on fire at that time. And I witnessed it all. Shortly after the coup of Sonny Abacha and Major General Muhammadu Buhari took place at the end of the year of 1983. And of course, at the beginning of 1984, all politicians were thrown into prisons.
Yeah.
And my boss, Chief Omobudu, was thrown into a war prison. And that was another experience for me. So for me, I would say I've been very fortunate because I've had a potpourri of experiences that shaped my life.
Okay.
I started meeting the movers and shakers of Nigeria from the age of 23 because most of them were friends with my boss. And when I left that job, my next job was even of a higher notch. It was a top-notch job, working for His Royal Imperial Majesty, the Oni of Ife, Oba Okunade Shijuade Olubushe II. You can imagine the caliber of people who came to the palace, and I had to take care of them. We had an hotel, Motel Royal Limited, very close to the Obafemi Awolowo University. So I was managing it. I was also the PRO and all that. So that was how I started meeting people, and I believe this was also part of my foundation. Of course, I went back for my master's, and this would surprise you. For a man who had a first degree in Yoruba, I decided to do a master's in literature in English.
Yeah, I read
And the
that.
university, of course, the Faculty of Arts kicked. They said, we've never seen anything like it. We cannot do it. But mercifully, I had a mentor, Professor Adeniji Adaralegbe, who was kind enough to intervene and tell the university that the fact that you've never seen something before does not mean you cannot try it.
Absolutely.
And so reluctantly, I was offered admission, but with a proviso that I should go and take some prerequisite courses in undergraduate level.
Okay.
Unknown to them, I was way ahead of the literature in English class because from the university library, I started acquiring all the literary works. I had bought so many, African literary series from Soyinka to Achebe to Mungo Betty to Ferdinand Oyono, Naguib Mahfouz, Alex Laguma. I was way ahead. But I didn't mind. I'm that kind of person. I'm humble enough. If you underrate me, I'm ready to pull back and do the needful. So I sat in the undergraduate class, no problem. And interestingly, within weeks, they realized that they were wasting my time. So they now gave me an exemption. And that was how I was able to concentrate on my master's program, which I finished in 1988. The next challenge was, how will I get a job? As I told you, I wanted to be a teacher.
Yes.
So I was hoping to be a lecturer, either at the university or any college of education. You will not believe it. I couldn't get any because the military government at that time had placed embargo on appointments and promotions. That was how my best friend, Prince Adedamola Aderemi, suggested to me that you have a first degree in Yoruba, a master's in English literature. You should be able to write good articles. I said, hey. He said, yes. And I tried my hand. And then I started writing for the Guardian newspaper in Lagos. They were paying me 25 naira per article. I was also writing for the Sunday Tribune in Ibadan. They couldn't even afford to pay me. I didn't mind. You see, and this is one of the things I want to tell those who are watching us.
Yes.
That you must prepare for the journey ahead.
Absolutely.
Don't think you can make it overnight. If it was about money, I would have missed the opportunities that I have today. So by the time I got very desperate and wanted a job, it was my friend again who said, why don't you try and see if you can get something? And then I spoke to a friend now of blessed memory, Onukaba Adinoye Ojo, who then invited me to come to Lagos to try the Guardian. The Guardian said he couldn't offer me a job. Then he asked me to go to the Concord. And now, please listen to this, man. You will not believe it. I was so biased against the Concord, and this is good for those who are watching on social media. I was so biased about Concord because of what I had read about Chief Abiola. There were a lot of negative stories about him. Unknown to me, that is where my life will change forever.
Wow.
So don't listen to rumors. Deal with situations as they affect you, and then you can
make your own judgment. Yeah.
Make your own judgment, correct? Yeah. So, because I was desperate for a job, I went to Concord newspapers, and you will not believe it, I was employed on the spot. On the spot by the editor Louise Obi to work for the African Concord magazine. Within a few months, because I was working so hard, I didn't want to go back to Ife empty-handed. My poor mother was waiting for me at home. And that's my tradition till today. Anything I throw myself into, I go all out. So the owners of Concord had to notice me by force that, hey, there is a new sheriff on the block, you know.
The new kid in town.
Yeah, the new sheriff, you know, and I just came, you know, and I became a star writer. Then they were going to start a new publication called The Weekend Concord, which was led by Michael Awuyifa, my boss, and his deputy, also of blessed memory, Dingba Igwe. And so they brought me in, and I managed to write the first cover, and that was how I became a superstar. Within 2 months, I earned double promotion.
Wow.
I don't think it has ever happened. Within 2 months, I got double promotion. I joined Concord May 1988. We started Weekend Concord March 1989. By May 1989, you will not believe it, I was already from staff writer. I had become literary editor. I had skipped senior staff writer and all that. 6 months after, I became the news editor of the Concord, of the Weekend Concord, which made me number 3 in hierarchy.
Okay.
On that publication. 6 months after, exactly 2 years of arriving in Lagos, 2 years, I was 30 years old, I became the highest paid editor in the whole of Nigeria. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And for me, it's surreal. Sometimes when I think about my life, it's like, it's dreamlike. Is it? And it leads me to believe in destiny, that maybe we're all blind and we're just walking because we don't know what destiny holds in store for us.
Yeah.
But my trajectory is uncommon. I became the highest paid editor, joined the Classic magazine, worked for the late Mayelin Ezekiel, Mufedamijo, and I think that was where I was able to really exhibit and display my celebrity journalism stunts.
Okay.
Maybe I should let you come in so that I don't say my biography in one fell swoop.
No, but you know, it's before I ask you the next thing, I'm very happy with what you said. 2 things you said that stick out for me. You said that the key that would unlock the future for anyone is education, and that is true. And I find that this generation, the millennials, they don't rate education like we did, you know, back in the day. Education is not as important as it to a lot of millennials as it should be. The second thing that you said here that is, I mean, it's so important is you were talking about money. You talked about how you took on an opportunity even though they couldn't pay you. And if you had insisted on being paid, you would have missed a lot of opportunities. And it's so key, you know, a lot of times people don't understand why they should, for instance, volunteer or do things, because the payment comes in different, it doesn't have to always be in monetary form. It doesn't have to be instant, you know. So you did a lot of work without even being paid, and you got paid in ways that you could not even imagine. So I just thought I'll pull that out. What I'd really like to know next is, you know, it's one thing to start a business. It's another thing to have it as a going concern and sustain it. Ovation have been around for over 25 years. That is no mean feat by any stretch of imagination. So I want you to tell us, because what we're trying to see now is, clearly you are a skilled journalist. I mean, there's no gainsaying that. Do you think that it was just your skill? Because we're looking at skill vis-a-vis discipline. Do you think that your skill was enough to get you to where you are now? Or do you think that it was also discipline or a combination of both of them?
Oh, naturally, it's a combination of both. But what I like to say is that if you have discipline and you have no skills, there is nothing that will happen. I'm sorry, I will sound a bit political. The best analogy I can give is that I see in Nigeria today that we have a president who seems to have the discipline but doesn't have the skill. That's the best way I could put it. You know, so your skill is your foundation.
Yes.
Before I came to Lagos, I was already well prepared and well fortified for the journey ahead.
Yeah.
It was going to be an epic journey. I've learned everything. Even what I do innovation today, globally. I mean, traveling on 5 continents, going to over 60 countries.
Yeah.
You will not believe it. I had seen most of those countries in the books I read.
Oh, really?
If I go to Kenya today, I started reading about Kenya from James Ngugi, who later became Ngugi wa Thiong'o. I was reading the Ngugi Weep Not Child. In those days, we used to memorize a lot of things. Weep not child, weep not my darling. With these kisses, let me remove your tears. The raging clouds shall no longer be victorious. They shall no longer possess the sky. I longed to go to Kenya.
Yes.
I read, you know, about the Mau struggle in Kenya. I read about their first deputy prime minister, Ojinga Odinga, whose son is Raila, who also later became a prime minister, from reading literature.
Yeah.
Before going to Cameroon, I'd read Ferdinand Oyono. I'd read Mongo Betty. I knew almost everything about the story and history of Cameroon before ever going to Cameroon. And by the way, Nigeria just beat Egypt. So congratulations to us, you know? So from there, South Africa, we were reading Alex Laguma. We were reading Doris Lessing. If you go up east towards Egypt, we were reading Nawal El Saadawi. We were reading Naguib Mahfouz. If you go towards Senegal, we were reading Leopold Sedar Senghor. We read about negritude, you know. So for me, that was the foundation.
Yeah.
If you go to Ghana, before I ever went to Ghana, I'd read everything written by the Osai GFO, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, you know, and one of my favorite of his books was Africa Must Unite. That's what led me to becoming a Pan-Africanist. I'd also read, of course, about the Walimu Julius Nyerere in Tanzania. You know, that's why when I'm talking, sometimes people say, oh, how do you know all these things? It started from just reading literature. So when I go to Senegal, I mean, I went to Senegal with Chief Abiola in 1992, and we went to Gori Islands. I already had a mental picture of that point of no return, you know, when you get to the castles, the slave castles, you know, and that I knew everything from literature. So you can be disciplined, but if you are empty, your discipline will lead you nowhere.
But do you think also, let's look at the reverse, do you think that you can succeed if you're skilled or talented with no discipline?
Oh, some people get away with murder. Trust me, there are people who get away with murder. They are just lucky, you know, because they have that basic knowledge about everything. So they know how to maneuver and meander.
But that will not be the
you see, you can escape if you don't have discipline. You can't escape if you are empty. That's what I would say. But you need a measure of discipline. You see, discipline is about sustainability.
Yes.
Your skill can start a business like Ovation, but only discipline can sustain it. Because when we were starting, we needed 150,000 pounds, and we could not raise more than 20,000. Even our bank manager at the National Westminster Bank at the time, the white lady, so I'm not being racist, but I don't understand you guys. How can you need 150,000, and here you have 20,000, and you say you are going ahead? People thought we were crazy. But that is the can-do spirit of an average Nigerian. Everywhere I've been in the world, you will find Nigerians.
Yes.
In fact, there is a joke that if you go anywhere in the world and you don't find the good people there, run away. It means there is no life in the place. You know, because we just have that raw skill, raw ambition, and
Yes.
the overall discipline. So we were ready. My partner, who was supposed to start the business with me, pulled out the day before. He said, "No, I can't just go ahead with it. Your ideas are too fantastic." I said, "Why?" He said, "We have 20,000. You said we should go and get an office for 14,000. So we'll be left with 6,000. Are we crazy? And we're still going to buy furniture." I said, "Oga, let me tell you. The first lesson I learned from about Kwadeshijwade, it was the first biggest celebrity I worked for, was that rich people don't do business with poor people. And that business is about perception."
Mm.
You understand? Business is about perception.
Perception.
There are
Yeah.
times you have to fly first class to be able to meet certain categories of people. It's part of your investment. If you are sitting in economy, you will not see them when they come in and they are the first to leave the flight. And I'll give you an example. There was a day I wanted to see Governor Fashola. I tried to see him on ground. And then I heard he was traveling that night to London. And I made sure I did my investigation very well. I knew the flight was going on. And I positioned myself right at the end of first class on British Airways. That's why I always like to sit 5A or something, or 5K. There is no way he will pass in and pass
they won't
out, and I
see
will
you.
not see him.
Yeah.
And I will just grab him. There was also an occasion when Chief Bola Tinubu was going to Atlanta, and a friend of ours wanted to meet with him. It had been impossible for us to meet him on ground, and all we did was to position ourselves on the flight. These are the skills that I learned from the masters. A lot of people say, "Oh, you guys, it's a waste of money." No, if you know what you are chasing, then you must know how to chase it. So it's quite interesting. So for us at Ovation, of course, it worked up to a point. Like every flight, after you stabilize, sometimes the captain will say,
It would deep, yeah.
"Yes, your seatbelt should be on because you are
Yeah.
going through turbulence." We went through it.
Yes.
So that was where discipline sustained us. Because we could have given up. A lot of people left. They couldn't endure. They couldn't cope. But I have a theory that if your life depends on something, you cannot quit. My life depends on Ovation. Everybody else can leave, but I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because that, number one, is my source of income. My dependents live on it. And I don't have a choice. I must just do it no matter what happens. But there are people who have options. I don't see. And again, I realized that I've tried other businesses and I didn't quite succeed. So stick to your area of core competence. It's very important. There are people who will do 50 businesses and they are losing money in some, but out of ego, they will not know how to kill it. I started a Sunday newspaper in Ghana once.
Yeah.
Because they don't have Sunday newspapers. And all over the world, Sunday papers are bestsellers. And we're losing money because the vendors will not carry it. Ghanaians love their weekends. They don't want any trouble. On Saturday, they go to their funerals or weddings. Then on Sunday, they are home getting ready for Monday. So I thought they were aggressive like Nigerians. They were not. They just want, minimum comfort, ride with your life, which is something I admire in them. Maybe our own graga is a bit too much sometimes. But I said, no, we can do something. Let's do it. And then I lost so much money. So one morning, I invited my crew and I greeted them. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have good news for you." They said, "What's the news?" I said, "We're killing this newspaper before it kills us." They said, "Chief, no, we can't do it. Oh, people will say we have failed." Oh. Then I looked at them. I said, "Haven't we failed?" So you can lie to people outside. Don't lie to
You
yourself.
can't lie to yourself.
That's the secret of business.
You can't lie to yourself.
And so that was it. And so now I found my rhythm. I found my love. My love is anything to do with celebrity journalism. You can see that on Instagram. I'm one of the few people of my age and generation that you will find handling social media himself. Everything you
And
see
you
on
are
Twitter,
so
on
active on Instagram. I don't think I follow anybody who's as active as you are. You are so active.
look, yesterday, after my interview on Arise News, you will not
Yes.
believe it. I didn't enter my bed until 4 a.m.
Wow.
Calls from everywhere, and I attended to them. Messages, so many are yet to be answered. I am so hooked. It's like my drug. You must find your passion and let it become your drug.
But sir, just listening to you, I believe, even though you said that there are some people who would commit murder, as you said, don't have discipline, they have skills and they get away with it. I would say that there will be very few and far between.
Oh no, they are
Even
not
from
plenty.
what you said, they are not a lot, right? So for majority, you need to have that discipline. Because it's not like I said, it's not enough to start a business. To sustain that business, certainly, from what you described, you definitely needed a lot of discipline to take you to where you are now.
Definitely.
Oh, you're freezing up. Okay.
Of trying to disrupt us. We've gone through so much trouble.
Yeah.
But you will not believe it. No matter the situation, we always weather the storm. God has been so kind to us.
Thank God.
There were times when we thought it was over. There were times when bailiffs will come to our offices in London and bang on the door. We know you guys are inside. If you don't open the door, we're going to break it down. We will be whispering, break it down. Because a man who is down fears no fall. We were down. But we knew we will rise up again. That's the thing. And that should be your philosophy of life. That whenever you are down, if you are strong enough, you will rise up again.
Fantastic. Okay, sir, moving on. I don't like to talk politics, but I think it would be very uncharitable for me to bring you on here and not talk about politics, because I know a lot of your followers, even from the comments, want to hear that. Now, I've heard people try to draw a parallel between your political antecedent and that of the late Chief MKO Abiola, the Aare Kakanfo of Yoruba land, the 13th. Do you think that such a parallel can actually be drawn?
Oh, certainly. I can tell you a story that will blow your mind. Chief Abiola's most senior wife at the moment, Chief Mrs. Adebisi Miriam Abiola, is a woman I see as a mother figure. I'm very, very close to her. I'm close to the different members of the family, Dr. Doya Abiola, Kola Abiola, and his siblings, and everybody. They take me as a part of them because their father, Chief Abiola, actually publicly declared me as his adopted son. On my wedding, my wife was handed over to Chief Abiola in the Ijebu. You can imagine how far Ijebu is to Lagos. And after that, Chief asked, where are we taking our wife to? I said, Ijebu. He drove with us again to Ijebu. You cannot do more for anyone than that. So for me, I've studied him. In fact, I said yesterday on my interview that I could do a PhD on Chief Moshood Abiola. If there's one person who has a Chief Abiola's template, I'm one of the few people who have it. I have studied how did he manage to mesmerize, to hypnotize, to sensitize Nigerians everywhere, at home and abroad. Chief Abiola had this aura that was larger than life. I am not up to that level. I will not sound modest because I don't have his financial capacity. but I see a lot of him in me. I tell people, money is not how much you have. It's what you are able to do with what you have.
Yeah.
And your ability to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it with whatever you have. I learned all that. So, I will give you another example. In 1981, Chief Abiola was frustrated out of politics by the MPN. He went away quietly. You could see that he was devastated. But he knew what to do. In Yoruba, I don't know how I'll be able to translate it, but I'll try. They say, Agbo to fe yirin, agbara lo lo mu wa. Agbo is like a ram that goes backward.
You went to get some
When the ram
strength.
goes backward, by the time it's coming back, it's coming full force to charge. That's what Chief Abiola did. He came back 12 years after, in 1993.
Yes.
I had a similar experience. In 2011, I contested because we are good at complaining in Nigeria. We complain about everybody, about every leader. And the people who have what it takes, there is no politician in Nigeria today who can replicate this trajectory I've painted to you. I went through it all.
Yeah.
I met them all. And I remained in opposition. I don't know how God did it, but God kept me for a purpose. That purpose, I don't know it yet, but I know we will discover it very soon. So because it is very tempting to go and seek power. You want to be a commissioner, you want to be a minister, you want to be a governor, and then you end up like the rest of them. You get tainted. Everything you have built gets destroyed in the process. Somehow, I resisted that temptation. I worked for Buhari in 2015. I was not a member of APC. I never joined APC. I worked for him on the principle that PDP was fumbling at the time. We need an alternative. It turned out to be a fatal error, very costly. Governor Wike is always telling me, Dele, don't tell me about this, your apology. Apology cannot bring Nigeria back. I agree. But what else do I have? What can I do other than to apologize that I made the miscalculation? I am sorry. In 2019, the alternative, because I realized after my own 2011 experience that there are only two key political parties anywhere in the world. Usually, once in a blue moon, you may have an Emmanuel Macron, like what happened in France. But even in America, it's usually two. So in 2019, I supported Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. I was not a member of PDP. That's what you call principle. So it was based on that. And I didn't contest. If I contest in 2023, now there are speculations and everything. Okay? The truth is, I am better prepared and I am ready. If I contest, then it would have taken me 12 years of preparation, just like the Fabiola.
Oh, wow, then, that's true.
Yes. And then in 2023, the June 12th anniversary will be 30 years old. So we have suffered for 30 years because of that rascality that happened in 1993. So will Nigerians continue to allow politicians to hijack our collective destinies? That is yet to be answered. And I'm looking forward to it. But the mistake we will not make, number one, is to go and contest again in a party that cannot even win on the street.
Yeah.
Number two is to try and persuade my party that life has changed. You know, politicians, they are incurable optimists. They believe Nigeria, nothing can change it. They will continue to hold on to power. They will continue to control heaven and earth, you know, even the air we breathe. But the young ones are coming. We saw the dress rehearsal during the class.
Yes, yes.
So if they think Nigerian youths are incapable of organizing themselves into a formidable force, it will be a fatal error. So my advice to my party is number one, and we're lucky. we have a cerebral chairman, Dr. Iyochayu, fantastic brain, a man who started as a socialist. He was a lecturer at Ahmadu Bello University before he veered into politics. So he understands the meaning of struggle. What we have today is a class struggle. And if you read Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx, like I did when you were in school, when a revolution is going to take place, it starts from contradictions within the ruling class. I am a friend of those in power, but I have never spared them. That is more potent. You know, when you attack someone because he's your enemy, nobody takes you serious. But when you are able to criticize somebody who is your friend, and you say to hell, I don't need your appointment, I don't need your patronage, I don't care if you patronize me. Ovation has suffered so many times because of our obstinacy, the stubbornness that no, our country is far more important to us than doing business. A lot of people don't know this. Yeah, but they are your friends, but they are your friends. It's more difficult to criticize your friend than to criticize your enemy.
True.
So that is one point I want to emphasize tonight. People don't know what we've sacrificed. I was put in detention by the government of President Babangida. I was forced into exile for 3 years. I couldn't enter Nigeria by the regime of General Sani Abacha. Some people lost their lives. Some people lost everything. But I never stopped fighting. While we were in exile, you can imagine someone that managed to escape to England. I didn't keep quiet. I was running a Yoruba program on what a pirate radio called Radio Freedom, which later became Radio Kudirat, which was being coordinated then by the present governor of Ekiti State. Dr. Kanayo Olisa-Metuh was the coordinator. And we're there. Richard Dayo Johnson, George Noah, all of us were there. I was running Yoruba program, and I had a pseudonym, simplified as a false name. My name was Saliu Elenuboro Eniolorunpa. I can't translate that, it's impossible. But you see, that's how committed. Anything I'm doing, I'm not talking about the risk to my business or to my personal safety. I just do. That was what Chief Abiola did. Chief Abiola could have compromised in prison. Imagine a man who was one of the most comfortable human beings on earth, ending up in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
And he never gave up until he died. For me, that's it. When people talk to me, they say, be careful, you know, these people. I said, my life is not more valuable than Abiola's life. Nobody's life, and nobody's in control of anything.
That's true.
We're not in control of anything. Just imagine if Abiola sitting down at home and he died of malaria or sudden heart attack. Who will be talking about him today? Nobody. And those who have changed the world, it takes just one person. Just one person. And I'm happy that as a young man in Lefe, I had access to a vast library. I read about Chairman Mao in China. Look at where China is today. I read about Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. Look at where they are today. I read about Mahatma Gandhi. Look at where India is today. I read about Martin Luther King. Look at what happened to the black people in the United States of America. I read about freedom. I read about Nelson Mandela in South Africa. I read about Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya. You know, so even in Nigeria, we had our own heroes. A man who tried to change Nigeria, Murtala Muhammad, what happened? Within 6 months, they cleared him out. The evil forces are there everywhere. But sometimes they get tired. Even the weak gets tired of drinking blood after some time.
So let me ask you, you haven't said that expressly here, but I listened to your interview yesterday and I know that you're running for president. I mean, that's what was my takeaway from that. And I want to ask you something. In 2011, when you ran for president, it's common knowledge that you suffered some sort of betrayal from people you thought you get support from. And I suppose maybe because they thought you were a newbie, what do you think you're going to do differently this time so that history doesn't repeat itself?
You see, I will tap, hopefully, into the collective frustrations of the Sufferers Association of Nigeria. It is an unregistered organization. We're all suffering. That's why they say the rich also cry.
Absolutely.
In Yoruba, one rich man in a community of 6 very terribly poor people. You're also a poor person.
Yes, absolutely.
I cry sometimes when people come to me and I'm not able to help. And they won't believe it. Because an average Nigerian believes that success means money.
True.
So that's one topic I think you should talk about with some other people.
I've actually talked about that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Anytime you want me, please call on me. I love to talk about it because I have a lot of experience about this.
Yeah.
People think, oh, once they say you're a billionaire, it means you have ₦1 billion in a bank account. And I tell them that even if you have ₦1 billion, the moment you spend 100,000 out of it, it is now less than ₦1 billion. And if 10 people come to you and you give them 100, 1 million is already gone. And that's how money goes.
Yes.
And if you don't replenish, before you know it, you will get broker than those who were coming to you.
Yes.
So for me, leadership is good that we're talking about politics. For me, leadership is about managing people and resources. So Nigeria needs people who have been able to micromanage their own business and they've accomplished a lot in their private capacity. If you see most of our leaders, the reason we fail, people say, oh, you need experience. I say experience of failure. If you have never managed your own business, a man says, oh, I've never seen ₦1 million. And suddenly you catapult him to the position of the president and is managing a 10, 20 trillion naira budget every year. If it doesn't run mental, it's by God's grace. You can't be normal.
Sorry, do you think that your experience as chairman of Ovation has given you the skill sets required to run a country as diverse as Nigeria?
My experience is more than Ovation.
Yes.
That it's not about Ovation. People, I told you Chief Abiola attended my wedding in 1992. I didn't have Ovation in 1992. I must have accomplished something.
That's right. That's true.
I'd worked with a deputy governor at the age of 23. That was not a joke. I'd worked with one of the most powerful kings in Africa, Oba Ade Olubishe II. I'd worked with Chief MKO Abiola when I was barely 28 to 30. I'd worked as a public relations person, and my accounts included that of Chief Abiola Summit Oil International. I later handled Dr. Mike Adenuga. I'm talking about the biggest operators in our economy. I've worked with virtually all of them, one by one, from Chief Abiola to Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr., to Akim Bello Osage, to Tony Elumelu, to Aliko Dangote, to Femi Otedola. I understand what they go through as business people. If you are not a businessman, you will never understand the challenges these people go through. Chief, for example, let's take Aliko Dangote. It's expanding to about 14 different African countries. Most of those countries, whenever he's going there to launch his plants, I'm one of the people he would invite along. I've followed Dangote to Tanzania, I followed him to Zambia, I followed him to Ethiopia. Some of them I missed because I had other engagements. You know, I don't know of any governor. In fact, maybe the only governor I've ever seen, okay, 2 of them, was Comrade Adams Oshiomhole and Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, because they are colorful people, so they know how to network with these people. There are not many politicians who know these people. So when you talk about someone who can stabilize the economy. If you are friends with all the major players of your economy,
yeah,
that's leadership. Leadership is not about being a governor. So what is the point if you are a governor and you are useless at the end of the day? You've done nothing. You don't have projects. You don't know anybody. You have not created opportunities for the poor. You have not alleviated, poverty in your state. So what are you doing? In my private capacity today on this phone, I have an app. I can give you tonight 60,000 contacts across Nigeria in every state. I will give you all the villages where there are. People say, oh, no internet, it's a lie. We've been able to debunk that. This app was configured by a Ghanaian lady called Farida Bedwe. You can check her out. CNN had done a feature on her. The feature is science. The feature is not thuggery. The future is not rigging. When people say, oh, Dele cannot win, it's because a lot of Nigerians, they've been so frustrated, they've been so oppressed, they've been so bullied by these people that they stop believing in themselves. If you don't believe in yourself, I believe in myself. I tell you.
Absolutely.
I hate that thing. They say, oh, who do you think you are? Oh, me? Hey, madam, I've interacted with presidents closely.
We know, yes.
Closely. And we've tried to do what we saw outside in our own country, and we know why it failed. When I say I want to be president, it's not because I want to add presidential title to my name. No,
Your name.
I have the experience that no governor today can tell me that. All they will tell you is, I'm a governor, we do meetings. What do they do? We do meetings. Apart from maybe Governor Wike, most governors have to go to Abuja, you have to go and collect your allocation. No. We have created opportunities. Look at the youth. And this is very important to me. The youth of Nigeria. Today, everybody is talking Whiskey, Davido, Burna Boy, Olamide, and everything. Some of us laid the foundation. As far back as 1999, I started promoting our young artists. Talk to Two-Face, talk to Remedies, talk to Plantation Boys, talk to Salawa Abeni, talk to Sashina Peters, talk to King Sunny Ade, talk to Ebenezer Obey. They will tell you, I have started way back. Jide Kosoko had been interested in movies before anybody knew about Nollywood, had been interested in comedy, the Ali Babas, and we laid that foundation. In 2007, we jointly partnered with the United Bank for Africa under the leadership of Tony Elumelu, and we started the Ovation Carol. The first time Banky W, when he came back from his sojourn in America, the first time he performed on a big stage was at that event. Thrice, 3 times in the last 10 years, we've paid to feature Wizkid. Twice in Nigeria, once in Ghana. Burna Boy, twice in Nigeria, once in Ghana. Davido, twice in Nigeria. Two-Face, Tiwa Savage. There is hardly any major artist you mentioned today that we have not promoted at Ovation. So how many politicians have done that? So what do they know? Do they even understand the business of these guys? So look, until we change this idea that leadership is about politics, de-emphasize politics, break it down.
Yeah.
The what? Look, how old is the Prime Minister of Canada? How old is Emmanuel Macron? And then an 80-year-old man will insist that without him, Nigeria will not survive. What kind of nonsense? This time, we will give Nigerians a viable option, a serious option. If you don't take it, I'm already getting old. I'm already getting old. I'll be 62 this year. God has just been kind to me that I still look boyish. No. I know that those 70-something-year-old should just retire. Those who pegged retirement age at between 60 and 65, they were not stupid. They know there is a law of diminishing return.
Yes.
Even your mental faculty, you begin to suffer dementia. You are suffering hypertension. You are suffering diabetes. You are suffering prostate cancer. It must come sooner or later. The problem is with our people, and I hope they will wake up and stop being fooled, being bullied, and being harassed.
I pray so. So I have to shut this thing down, but there's one question I really want you to answer because that's very dear to my heart. Now, Nigeria is deeply polarized right now along ethnic lines. And I don't remember a time in Nigeria when we are as divided as we are now. And I mean, watchers of politics believe that whoever takes over from the current government has their work cut out for them. If you become president, what will you do to unite us? Because I think that's very important for us as a nation.
That has never been a problem. You see, you don't unite friends, you unite enemies.
Okay.
I've had more than enough enemies in my life at my age. I mean, I just told you I was put in detention under the government of Babangida. I didn't take it against him because I learned from Nelson Mandela that if you don't learn to forgive, there can be no progress in the country.
Yeah.
The Abachas chased me out of Nigeria, but if they didn't chase me out of Nigeria, there would be no ovation today.
Absolutely.
Out of every bad situation, make the best of it. So when we say, oh, why are you not fighting? I said, when God has already fought for you, by compensating you with something bigger. The day I left Nigeria, I was crying, weeping. What Chief Sunday Igboho did, now that they arrested him in Cotonou, it could have been me in 1995 when I escaped. But God just gave me, hey, don't stay, because the Abacha people can easily enter Cotonou. I went all the way to Ghana that day by road before running to London. So the truth of the matter for me is that we will continue to do what we can by the grace of God, and then leave the rest to God.
All right. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. You're certainly more than qualified, for this office, and I wish you all the best. Again, let me say thank you for coming on. Taking time out.
You don't have to. You don't have to thank me at all.
I really appreciate it.
No, it's something I would gladly do anytime. And my highest regards to Chief Olisa-Metuh. Give him my regards.
I will. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I'll take you up on your offer to call you anytime I want you. I will.
Please feel free. Feel free. We need to teach our children. If we don't, sometimes people ask me, why are you always replying to people on social media? Oh, I say I'm not snobbish. I'm not a snobbish character. I'm not too big to talk. Look, the day you have leaders who can interact with the young ones, they will understand those people, that they are not mad. Those kids just want someone to lead them to victory, to lead them in battle. They face trouble every day, everywhere they go. But we have leaders, once they enter Aso Rock, they become emperors. You don't see them. During campaigns, they go everywhere. After campaign, until the next 4 years, it has to stop. I want to see a leader who is hands-on, who can go on the Ibadan-Lagos Expressway and check. If they said we've done it, go and check.
Have they actually done it? Yes.
That's the problem. You have to be hands-on. At Ovation today, you will not believe it. When we send out photographers to go and cover funerals or bad days, I am on the phone. I won't wait for the editor. The editor, most times, will not even know. I will double check. I learned that from Abiola. I learned that from Adenuga. I learned that from... You will never see any successful man who is not hands-on, who is relying totally on what they tell him without checking it. No, you will fail.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And I wish you all the best again. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, my sister. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, thank you. We've taken an hour, and thank you. I appreciate you all staying, and we'll see you again, same time, same place next week. Bye. God bless.